Hey everybody, this is Cromar with TGN. I'm here today to bring you some more Rift coverage. This is during the Beta 7 event, the open beta, and today we're taking a look at the Riftblade for the Warrior, Riftblade Champion, and Warlord. Although Warlord's not that important to my build here. So this is a mixed ranged and melee class that does magic damage, fire damage, air, stuff like that. But I'm going to play him as entirely ranged, and I'll show you why here. So I'm going to open by pulling. I have a snare, that slows him down, and then start shooting. And I got an ad, so I'm just going to root him and go back to this guy. He'll be down in just a second. Then I'm going to slow him. And as you see, they cannot touch me, and I do absolutely massive amounts of damage. This spec is just sick with the damage. It's really crazy. So let's see who is next. I'll take you out. These are full-fledged mobs. These are not like half health wimpy mobs or something like that. You know, you can also do it backpedaling really effectively. Yeah. So really just crazy amounts of damage. And I grinded as this, or I leveled as this spec for 4 or 5 levels, from like level, well, more than that. It was probably from like level 18 or 19 until level 25, I think, is when I stopped to start doing videos. So I just spent a long time with this, doing very difficult areas, fighting tons of mobs, doing quests that are, 1 or 2 levels higher than me all the time. And I have to say that out of everything I've tried, this is the most effective spec for the Warrior, and one of the most effective grinding specs that I've found for any class. I mean, this is challenging to the Marksman, maybe. Although I didn't play Marksman at a high level. So let's do one more. And take him out. Now, yeah. I didn't even get to my finisher. I only got 2 attack points. I only did 5 attacks and 1 finisher for that. So, yeah, crazy. So let's look at her spec and see why this is so effective. Now, the most important thing is the slow ability here, freeze armor, which you only get at level 6. Alright, and that snares them so you can actually kite them effectively. And then after level 12, you can put 2 points into improved freeze armor. Enemies afflicted by your snare take an additional 20% damage from fire. And all of your damage I did in that little run through there was pure fire, nothing but fire. My main range ability was Flame Spear, which hits for a huge amount of damage, way more than what the tooltip says here, and plus a dot. And I just spam it, and it keeps overriding the dot, but that's okay, because even the instant damage is more than the melee ability from this Tree Searing Strike. So it's dramatically better. And then Fiery Burst. Let me just talk about how bursts work. The finishers for Riftblade are all called bursts, and they or there's a couple others like Rift Surge, but most of them are called bursts. But the way they work is that none of them do direct damage. Instead, what they do is they give you a buff, and like it says here in the tooltip, this ability is not affected by the global cooldown. So what you do is you hit it in between spears, and then your next spear will activate it. What this does is it puts a fire dot. The other bursts, you get like Earth Burst, which does an AoE after you activate it, and then after you spend the buff pretty much. And then Storm Burst also does an AoE, but I just got that one. So let's look at that again a little more carefully. So I'm going to open with Freeze Armor here. And then I'm going to hit Flame Spear, and now I've got 3 combo points. So watch when I hit Fiery Burst, and watch my cooldowns. No cooldown. So I can hit Flame Spear immediately, and then it'll put that dot on the target. So let's do another one here. I'm going to hit him with my Stone Spear to root him. I'll show you that in a minute. And let's do a Freeze Armor. Now I'm going to use, he's snared now, so I'm going to use Fiery Burst. And when I use it, it puts the buff up here. And then the next, it says the next melee attack ability, but it's not, because I can just use Flame Spear to proc it. And there you go. And then when he's low, I'll just run in and do a melee finisher like Punishing Blow, which is the champion ability. You gotta hope this doesn't get nerfed, because it's just so much better than anything else you can do for the warrior. And this combo is available at level 6 because, as you see, Flame Spear and Fiery Burst are very early abilities, and Freeze Armor is also, you know, only 6 points. So you can have the snare and the fire damage, you know, without this debuff, but you can have the rest of it right away at level 6, right when you get out past the terminus or the starting zone. So that's pretty amazing. Also, right at the start, you get Rift Fury. Now, this is actually nice talent for other specs too, like Reaver, because it increases all non-physical damage. Basically, the more you put in Riftblade, the more your spells do, up to a maximum bonus of 50%. And there's more and more percentages that'll stack on top of that too, as we'll see in a second here. Now, I mentioned Stone Spear. Here it is right here. Now, there's a bug because it's got a 30-second cooldown by default. This one says this talent reduces the cooldown by 15 seconds, but it only reduces it by 1, so it's obviously bugged. Not a big deal, just, you know, it's a beta thing. So some of the great talents I have here, Elemental Touch, which puts a dot on, or not dot rather, I'm sorry, it procs air damage, instant air damage, every time I attack with an attack ability, and then this one just makes it more powerful. Elemental Touch, kind of like Rift Fury, is based on how many points you have in the tree. So clearly, if this is your spec, you're highly encouraged to put as many points as possible into the tree. Now, I want to go over also the passive you get for Riftblade, which are your Avatar and Blade spells. Here's Avatar of Wind, the first one you get, gives you a dodge and movement speed, which just helps your kiting, which is awesome. Avatar of Water doesn't seem all that useful, just reduces all damage by 5%. This is not a tanking spec, and you have to put way too many points to get this, so I wouldn't see this being useful all that often, but maybe PvP. But the last one here, Avatar of the Rift, this is really nice. Besides the defensive thing, enhances your burst ability damage by 50%. So, wow, yeah, of course, that's going to be the one that you're going to be using, as if Fire Burst wasn't powerful enough already. That's pretty amazing. For Blade spells, the one you get for 0 points, it puts an air dot every time you crit, and that's pretty good, but I do have enough points finally that I can get Planar Blade, which returns power instead of doing the extra damage. I'd much rather have the extra power because I find that my my attack combinations drain my power pretty fast, so this is really good. Now, I haven't said much about my subspecs. I do use Champion. I get another passive here, Soldier's Bearing. It only does physical damage, so it's pretty much worthless, but what the hell, it's free, so I cast it anyway. The important things you get, you do get a charge ability, and it's not too useful, but it could be useful in rifts because you need to move around a lot. So especially once you get the ability to charge in combat, you can use that to get away, and also Blitz will cause them to be rooted. So you can use Bull Rush to grab enemies that are on top of you that maybe your snare missed or it's on cooldown or whatever. You can Bull Rush them to root them and then move on. But of course, I just don't have enough points for that. I'd have to give up Planar Blade and a couple other talent points to be able to afford this right now. The most important talent in Champion, though, and the whole reason, not the whole reason, but a large part of the reason why I think this is the best subspec is Grip Satisfaction, which just stacks with your Planar Blade to deliver extra power when you crit. And that's very important because you really, really need that power. On top of that, you also have this one. Every time you crit, the power cost of your next attack point generating ability is reduced by 50%. And since your attack point generating abilities all cost 20 power, that means that it's gonna save you 10 power. So every time you crit, you're effectively getting 10 plus 15 plus 10. So you're getting a lot of the 35 power for every time you crit. So that's very important to your rotation. If I had enough points, I'd really like to get this hit talent here, but there's just no way I can get it. So Warlord, honestly, I don't really use this except for this aura here, which causes enemies to have a 5% chance to miss. So, if I screw up my kiting, this is so inconsequential. If there was anything even slightly better, I'd be all over it. But there isn't. None of these specs are any good for third specs, because really the only tree that's really good for a third spec is Riftblade itself because of Stormblade. So you'll see that on most of my videos where I'm building grinding specs, I'm gonna have Riftblade as a third. But for when I'm actually maxing Riftblade, there's really no other alternative. So I just went for Warlord because now why the hell not? But Champion I think is solid. Now instead of Champion, I could get. Actually, you know what? I should probably talk about this. Beastmaster. First of all, if you put 0 points in Beastmaster, you get this crappy pet who does some extra damage, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he does also, there's all kinds of AI problems with pets. They pull ads, they get lost, all kinds of stuff. They're very, very annoying, but they do contribute some damage. If you put 10 points, you get Protected Companion, which is supposed to make your pet into a tank, but no, it doesn't. It completely fails. In order to actually make use of a pet as Beastmaster, as a tank, you have to get 21 points for Summon Greater Primal Companion, and this Primal Companion gains some extra abilities. Once you have this Summon Greater Primal Companion, then you're okay on the tank. You could do a spec where you have 21 Beastmaster and the rest in Riftblade. I'm 26, so what do I have? 26 plus 8, so I could put 13 in Riftblade and 21 in Beastmaster, and that would give me a pretty good spec. But it wouldn't be a full Riftblade, and I'm trying to show a full Riftblade, so there you go. But that's something to consider. I mean, it's something I probably want to try. So if this spec does have a weakness, it's against lots of multiple enemies, although there are some pretty handy tools for controlling multiple enemies, including the various snares and roots. You just don't have any good AoE. You have Thunderstrike and Earth Burst. Well, you got some okay abilities. I mean, in Rifts, I do unleash Earth Burst a lot. And, there's another one called Fork. This uses a lot of power, though, if you spam it. But what it does is it makes your next spear spell hit 3 targets instead of 1. It says 2 in the tooltip, but I have this improved Fork, which causes it to hit 3. So let's do another pull. Obviously, since this guy is ranged, he's just sitting back and casting. If he wants to have a spell casting fight, I'm game. He did what? No damage to me? Oh no. Yeah. So finish him with a punishing blow. This spec is just killer. I mean, there's nothing better. I'll root this one. Why? Because I can. He sits there helpless while I just chuck spears at him. There we go. I use the freeze armor even when I don't need to kite, just for the extra 20%. I think it's worth it. Might not be. Wow, that was a huge hit. Oh no, someone got on me. Just Stone Spear him. Can't wait till they fix that bug. I'd love to have 15-second Stone Spear. It's such a great ability. And I think the mage over here helped me out. Or no. No, I just blew him up that fast. He's not even a mage. He's a rogue anyway. So let me get out of here before these guys start repopping all over me. So yeah, there you go. That's as simple as it gets. I mean, this is just really, really simple. Kiting, spamming dots, and stuff like that. And it's super, super effective. I highly recommend this spec. I can't recommend this spec highly enough. And I think that you should take it right at the beginning of the game and get these talents and then start doing your kiting. If you don't like kiting, if you just hate the idea, if you're offended at your core at the idea of a ranged warrior, which I don't know why you would be. I think it's actually really cool and unique. But if you just hate it for some reason, then you can always go champion. Champion is a perfectly viable spec as well. But I found it to be very boring at low levels. Before you get all this cool reaction stuff that keeps it interesting. Effective, yeah, it killed stuff, but just boring. Whereas Riftblade is never boring. Thanks for watching. This is Cromar with TGN.